Listening to Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNTalkRadio.com.
Well, good afternoon, good evening to everyone out there. It is my privilege and honor to be here with you tonight instead of our lovely friend and usual host on Monday nights for, is it Reach Across, honey? I can't remember. Spirit Quest or Reach Across. I can't remember. I'm a little nervous. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for joining me tonight on Faye Ewing show. I have been asked by Paul to host the show tonight because he is busy moving, and he also gave me the chance to talk to you folks because we have been talking about having my own show, and it's really because of the encouragement from Paul and my own husband that I have a platform to talk to you who have been on Paul's shows and Roger's shows. Really, as myself, I am honored to be here. So anyway, you're looking for your thing? Here. Hi, honey. Anyway, the reason I would like to talk to you tonight is to think about my own show. Lots of things come up in the shows that Paul and Roger have, and it's I am always a viewer like you, and I have a different perspective on things, and it's good to see you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to just say hello briefly to folks here. Hi there, Julia. Good to see you. Procky, Julie Sharp, Kathy Hanley. I see a Facebook user. I'm going to just say, encouraging you to come over to YouTube if you can. But anyway, we're going to talk about what things are important to you. It's Reach Across Live that I'm covering tonight because Paul and his beautiful wife Johanna are in the throes of moving. They have to pack and they are very busy. So I have the privilege of joining you tonight on this network. Anyway, back to hi, Kelly. How are you? Good to see you. I might not be able to say hello to everyone all the time, but I certainly am honored that you are joining me tonight. And thank you for your support. We would love to have, what my point is in the show that I hope to develop is to bring things that are important to you. A lot of the viewers on either Paul's or Roger's shows are women who have gone through life, are going through life, as I have. And we, as viewers, as women and men too, have had experiences and are going through some experiences. And I hope to bring things to you that we can talk about, chat about, and to encourage. I am here to encourage you. I find that to be something that comes up as a theme in everyone's life while they're watching the shows. Much of this is not going to be a psychic medium show, perhaps. If you're looking for a reading, if you're looking for that kind of guidance, I'm not equipped to do that. I feel like my skill set comes from experience, living life, going through different experiences in life, as you are all doing that. Hi, Sue. How are you? I might be able to say hey to a couple. Hey, hi, Lynn. Thank you for that, dear. So, I mean, even tonight, I would love to hear what you, as the viewer, would like to talk about. My thoughts are to bring in visitors, bring in people who have something to say, maybe business owners, maybe people who might be working through some struggles. I hope to bring whatever I can to you because I have had to deal with some experiences myself. So I don't know. One of the things that uh, we always try to encourage people to know is that we, in all of our both of our shows, is that love is the most important thing in this world. And I'm hoping that when I bringing you whatever I bring you, it is out of the love of my heart. And I encourage you to, talk about the love, from your heart. And I'm hoping that I can be of help. And I hope that some of the things that we bring to the show is always of help. So, hi, Amanda. Hi. Good to have you here aboard. Um, so, anyway, I had some things to jot down. Um, anyway, what would you like to talk about? I'm bringing in to you. What would be something that you might be struggling with right now? What are the things that might be? Is it finances? Is it maybe you're going through some troubles, a divorce? Maybe you are dealing with an autoimmune disease that you think you'd like me to talk about. I would like to just make it as easy for you to chat about that. This is a safe place. Although we are across the nation and we are across the UK and we are across in many other places, I am interested in knowing what's going on. Um, anyway, you want to talk about soulmates, or are we soulmates? We can talk about that as well. I feel like if you want to talk about soulmates, here's my point of view on that. I think that there are many soulmates that we have in our life. I think we should be open to soulmates. And they might be very good for a while, and they may serve their purpose for a while, and then they may not be forever. We are in and out of this, uh, you know. Thank you for that thumbs up, by the way. Thank you. I love that. So, okay, Julie would like to talk about soulmates, and I would love your contribution on your thoughts of soulmates. Soulmates don't happen. I think they happen. Thank you. So Mary says, love having a feminine outlook on things, love Paul and Roger, but sometimes too much testosterone. Absolutely. I know. Sometimes I feel badly for people who are looking for love in all the wrong places. There's that song. I have been guilty of that myself. Thank you for sharing it. But soulmates, I have thought about that too. I feel that Roger and I are soulmates. I'm sure and it's because we came to finding each other from a lot of work on our own, our own sides of the story. Maybe you'd like to hear about how we got together. Maybe you have already heard it so many times you don't need to hear it. But after my last divorce, I really wanted to not make the mistake again, you know? Yes, I mean, there you go. Julia says, guess you just know and get sense of a person being a soulmate and you realize they feel the same. Yeah, and I think you should also be tread lightly and kind of carefully too. Um, Soulmates can be a very close friend, absolutely. And Julie wants me to do it. Oh, Julia says, yes, please tell us about that. Okay, so I was, you think you're in a soulmate situation. It can be male or female, absolutely, best friends. You can be in a soulmate situation and it doesn't work. It can work for a while, but then it doesn't work and it takes time. And but we have to, I hate to, don't want to say we have to, but I found it best for me and I suggest it for you, is to take a moment for yourself, before you find your soulmate, first of all, find out about you. And I suggest highly that in order to find out about you, you must know that you are worthy. And I stress that every single time. It comes right from that. So after the divorce I had, I realized that I didn't find myself worthy. I didn't like the way I mean that was what that did to me was make me feel really not great. So I encourage you to take a moment out of your life if you're a woman, and even if you're a man, take your time. You know, what does that mean? Maybe you need to read. I need to read. I started to read inspirational books. I started to meditate. I decided that I needed to um, have more girlfriends. I decided that I needed to do something with my life besides have it um, just be work. That was not working for me. And by doing that, I decided to pray about or meditate about what I wanted in life. So I did a storyboard. Do you guys know what that is? I had a storyboard and I decided what I wanted my house to look like. I decided what I wanted the next man in my life to look like. I decided I had took pictures from, of course, magazines and stuff. And guess what? That man in that storyboard looks kind of a lot like the guy who's sitting in the other room, probably watching the show. I don't know. He's probably listening to me. And what happened is I put all that also on a piece of paper and I burned it on the summer solstice of all places. I actually didn't know what I was doing. And I also continued to do my own hobbies. I decided to do some dancing. I decided to join a choir. I decided to have music in my life and to by being in a choir, I didn't have to sing on my own. I was a part of a group, and that was friends, and they were my soulmates for a while. And you know, um, also, so finally, and I say, "Hi, Paul," the safe way, yes, meditation, and then all the suggestions we have in the safe way. Thank you, dear. So there was a growth before you find your soulmate, I think, because you have to work on yourself. I suggest that highly. And then the soulmate appears. He appeared at a gig, and that was Roger. I fell madly in love with him at the first moment I met him. I was there was it was all and at first I was a little afraid of it because he so showed up as I predicted. Because you know what? I thought about it. I meant it, and I told my friend that my next husband or who my next love was going to profess his love for me, and he did that. He did that so that's my soulmate, who is with me every single day, and if you have to also be patient and with yourself if you're wanting that soulmate. Be patient with yourself. Make sure that you are don't ever demean yourself. And always remember that what you're thinking in your quiet time, you might be manifesting that too. So be careful of how you think. Absolutely. And so I try to, and I don't say try, I wish I meditated every day. I can't say that I do. Good, Emma. She says, I'm trying to get my second children's story turned into a book. See, you're finding yourself. That makes it makes for a perfect story itself. So, and you know what? My show, what I want it to be about the people who are listening to me. I want it to be your show. I want it to be your interest. You might have an interesting book. You might have an interesting hobby. Um, and I want you to go into it. I want you to not be afraid. Paul put me on the show. I was just not, today I was thinking that, well, I kind of have a day off. I was going to be sitting at home and I was going to do some sewing, which I love to do. And I haven't had a chance to do. And all of a sudden, I get this message from Paul saying to me, it would be brilliant for you to, just to see what was going to happen, on your shows. Get the viewers' opinions or thoughts about what they would like to hear, what they would like to talk about. And I said, wow, I'm not sure if I'm ready in my head. And I'm thinking, this is an opportunity. Am I limiting myself? Am I what am I thinking? At first I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I was, but this is what opportunities happen. This is how opportunities happen, is when you put what you want out there, then they come and they are not really prepared for it. So back to meeting Roger, I was at the gig. I saw him. My gosh, my heart went out of my chest. He gave me a kiss goodnight. He turned to go backstage or to go to the stage again or to get his guitar. I'm not sure what it was. I ran out the door because everything I had said that I wanted was manifesting itself. You know, it was manifesting. And I was running out the door because I couldn't believe such a wonderful thing could happen to me. And what was I thinking? Was I not worthy? Was I not worthy? Um, and well, okay, I'm getting a cue. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Why does she quit living?
Oh,
Why don't she find somebody else?
okay. Okay. So I got a prompt from backstage anyway. So thank you. Great. I thought I ran out the door thinking, wow, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. Well, I manifested it. Of course you can do it. Just like Paul had sent me a message saying, people need to hear from your perspective. Okay. And I thought, well, why would they want to hear from my perspective? Well, I guess let's find out. Let's find out. I do have a perspective on things. I raised 3 children. I had been married twice before, and I had to leave because it was not good for me. And maybe people didn't think that was a good thing to do, but really I have to make my own decision. We are creating our own lives, folks. We are creating who we want to come into our lives. We are creating what we want our lives to look like. We are creating our own we were put on this earth to have the best time, to have a happy time. We're not supposed to be in a spot where there's a bad marriage, for example. And you do have to, thank you, Amanda, you have to do what's best for you. Yep. Yep. I was also thrown in at the deep end. Yeah. Thank you very much. We also talked about, I was able to talk to Paul for a couple minutes before he went off doing his stuff. And these are the things I would like to talk about. How are you manifesting your life? How are you encourage? I mean, I don't know. We are parents as women. We are parents, and we are multitaskers. We are people who have to deal with the details and then make that happen. We do that every day. Why can't we make it happen for ourselves? There are many business women. There are business women who are, making it work. I applaud them. I applaud them. They are taking a risk because they believe in themselves and they want to make it happen. I want to talk to them. And there's Dawn. Hi, darling. How are you, Dawn? Good to see you too. And yeah, so I would love to have maybe one or two of you on the show. Um, maybe we can talk about some of the things that you're going through as maybe a business owner. Maybe I can talk to somebody who is struggling with something that if you feel like it. Um, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I just want to I would like to develop a show where people are willing and to talk about things that they're challenged with. Yeah, Don, yeah, Paul is finally moving anyway. I would love, and of course, I want it to be fun. Absolutely. This is a party. We have a Saturday morning show, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but Roger and I have a Saturday morning show that we developed. And hi, Candace, how are you, darling? Um, it's all the premise of it was to have people come into the show and talk about things that are, besides having readings, psychic medium readings by Roger, is to talk about things that are important to them, that they are struggling with. Maybe they have a child that's sick. I mean, and that will come out in the readings, by the way. But really, it's a show that we want people to just feel free about talking about what they're doing. And actually, that's also morphing into a more of a show with Paul that's coming on, and Roger is on. I'm on as well. But this is the show that baby can also just be us. All right. I'm not a psychic medium. I am a wife of a psychic medium. Maybe you want to know a little bit about that. I don't know. Up to you. We can talk about that. I would like to also write a book about that. And because that's a little strange sometimes, as you can probably imagine, it can be a little difficult at times, as you can possibly imagine. Maybe you can imagine. Um, but what it has done is caused me to also check me. We need to check ourselves. We need to be able to, yeah, what's it like to be? You want to know? We can talk about that too. But I also want things to resonate with people. I want everyone to get a piece of information that is helpful. Um, I want you to believe in yourself. I have a little list going. I want you never to compare yourself to other people. That is not helpful. Um, I want you to be free to talk about things that you might be reading that is helpful to yourself. I want you to create the best you that you can do, because that has been my life's work so far. Um, and it ended up me marrying Roger as a psychic medium. I feel like this is kind of a pinnacle, if you will, because what it has done for me is to challenge my own belief system and to kind of make my head go, right? And exactly, Lynn, believe in yourself, because everything is possible. I want everybody to know that everything is possible. I encourage people to, watch our shows, Paul's shows, Rogers and my shows, uh, read Paul's books. He's got another book coming out. I hope to have a book coming out for Roger as well. And it's really about learning that we're put on this earth for a purpose. We're all still here for a purpose. And to know that, so like we had, even Paula and I talked about before, time is everything. Time is everything. Time is not just today. Time is, you're right here, right now, doing what you think is the best thing to do. Anyway, Julie is asking about, yes, Julie is asking, was he a psychic medium already when you met? Yes. He had been a psychic medium for 19 years at the time we met, by the way, and a very successful one. And when we met at the gig, which was local for me in Minnesota, um, he told me that he was a psychic medium. I said, okay. So that maybe made me run out of the place. That's what made me run out of the gig, because I thought, I'm not sure I can do that. I'm not sure if I can, because I believe if you're going to be with somebody, then you better I think you better support them in what they do, because if you don't, then you're not part of their lives, right? And that's really a part of everybody. If you choose to be with a partner, then you want to be a part of their support system. And how can I not be a part of the support system by not believing what he does? So, um, thank you, Dawn, for that. Dawn, who has her own business going, I know, and I think I would like to see if Dawn would like to be on one of my shows. Ever since the impossible happened to me, she says, I learned everything is possible, good and bad. Yeah. So, thank you for that. Amanda says, does he give you readings all the time? No, no, darling, he doesn't give me readings all the time. The when people come in, the people come into a spirit will come in into for me at random times, just like everybody here on on our shows. That you never know when they're going to come in, and you never know who's going to show up. We say that all the time. uh, People come in as likewise for me, like my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, people that I can't imagine why would they come in, but they have. And so thank you, Dawn. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I won't it won't be impromptu, Dawn. We will talk about a little bit behind the scenes, and then we'll talk about it. That'd be great. I know that you do crystals and things like that. I think that would be wonderful to know a little bit more about that subject. I also want to tell everyone that I don't know everything about everything. I do not. Um, I I'm here to learn with you, as I have for the past 5 years that I have been on our shows. That I have learned a lot, kind of exponentially. This is why I say to all of you to to really have a full life. Let yourself be open to possibilities. Let yourself be open to opportunities when they come and come on your lap. For example, with me and my husband, Roger. For example, with me and Paul saying, here, here, come and do the show. Okay. I'm not sure I will do you justice, but I'll do the best I can. What I always want to do is I always want to hit the pillow at night knowing that I have done the best that I can possibly do that day. Sometimes it might be just getting through the day, depending on how healthy I feel or whatever, or mindful I feel. Maybe I can only just water the flowers. Maybe I can only vacuum the living room. Maybe I can only be on one of our shows. Maybe I can only, it's doing the best you can for you. Maybe your health, your own health. And I'm talking about all the viewers and the listeners. Thank you for listening. Maybe it's only getting out of bed. Maybe you might be struggling with some mental health issues. Maybe you might be depressed. If you're on our shows, what we want to do is bring you love and encouragement, and to seek the assistance of whomever you can. Not to depend on a psychic medium or an encourager. I guess my best title would be an encourager, to encourage you, promote you, to do the best you can do. Um, yes, I mean, I can only talk about things that are real for me and my real experiences. I have been heartbroken. I have been, I mean, I've been used. I've been abused a little bit from a bad marriage. I won't tell you which one, but mentally, not physically. Um, and so I had to get out of that, and I had to learn how to love me. Both times I had to learn how to love me. You need to love yourself. It's not, and you are worthy. That's another message I want everyone to know, is that you are worthy. You have the right to get the best. You have the right to envision yourself in the best possible circumstances. And but sometimes, but not sometimes, all the time, you have to participate in the process. I mean, I think what helped me one time, one of the times, was I thought of Tina Turner, who did have an abusive husband, if you will recall the story, that she had to escape with 32 cents in her pocketbook. And she had to take leave after years of abuse. Her opportunity came when Ike was asleep in the hotel room, and she took the opportunity with 32 cents in her pocketbook, and ran to another hotel across the street or down the road. I don't know. She didn't even have a car. It was in the middle of the night. Hello, 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 Jojo, hello. Um, and she pleaded with the clerk, to take her in, and that she would promise to pay that clerk. So Tina Turner, a star, ran and got refuge from a complete stranger. She took the opportunity. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you could ever to do, is to leave a bad relationship. I don't know why this is coming to me and why I'm talking about that right now. But I think that was the first for me too. You have to leave a toxic thing and put yourself out and ask for help. It's a very courageous thing to do, and stick with it. That's another thing. And then, okay, so Mary Erickson, and I'm going to try to pop you guys up, as best I can. Mary says she met a man who promised many things, but marrying him was a huge mistake, and I believe the universe released me from continuing being unhappy, and he passed suddenly. I felt relieved and felt guilty. And please don't feel guilty. We also need to take away our guilt. We need to work on that. Um, and so Julia, let me hear you say. Julia says, "Me too, Faye. My second marriage, mentally and physically, by a narcissistic person. Everyone falls for his initial charm." Yes, maybe that's why I ran away from Roger in the first place, because I didn't. I mean, although we were classmates, there's the other part of the story. We were classmates. I was there at the gig with my classmates, and Roger was at the stage professing how he always had a crush on me from high school, and I hadn't paid attention to him. Didn't even know that he existed. Well, I was just busy getting from one classroom to another. But see, so I had come away from a narcissistic relationship, and I really needed to take a break from the whole wonderful feeling, because I knew I had fallen for it before and had a bad experience. And so so I was left with that thought. I'm kind of going through whatever the chat room here. Yeah, Julia says best thing she did was to leave, end it, and be very happy now. Yeah, Mary's saying fear made me make a bad choice, and I have learned to be happy on my own and doing what I want. That was, you know what? I love you, ladies. You ladies are coming to my rescue. I love you so much. Sue says I had to leave everything through abuse. I was so scared I left with just my 4 children and bags of clothes. My heart goes to you, dear Sue. That is so, there you are. So, in my experience, I was left with a house that the mortgage was not being paid. We were making a good amount of money, but it was going out the window because there was so much debt. And I didn't care. I said, I can't take it anymore. You got to leave. I got to leave. You got to leave. Somebody's got to leave. And really, what happened? We did lose the house. My credit went down the tubes. But you know what? I wasn't going to go back to that relationship again. It was so toxic. It was so toxic. I still have nightmares today, and I have to walk through them, and I talked to Roger about them, and I feel safe now. And so, some of the things I learned about myself through those toxic times, I prevailed. I lived. And I appreciate. Oh, Jojo says I had a visit from her mom today. It's been over 55 years since I saw her last. Good for you. Thank you, Julia, for liking and sharing. But I think I want to be, I'm going to be totally as transparent as I can with you folks without, divulging too much. But really, I want to come to you from how I felt. Um, and I know that people who watch the show have been in the same boat. And I want you to know that I truly empathize with you, but I know and if you're going through that right now, I truly encourage you to not feel guilty about how you feel. I understand. I understand how you can feel guilty about wanting somebody to leave this earth so you don't have to deal with leaving him. I understand that too. Um, and it's a scary thing to think about that you have those terrible thoughts. But we're human. We're human on earth, and you become desperate. You can become desperate to not, I don't know, see that person again, but you don't want to take action yourself. You have to take action yourself. Um, so, so here's Dawn. She says, "I feel so deeply for those that have suffered under their husband's hand. I have no patience for men like that. I'm constantly picking men up on their disrespectful attitude. They're goods first out there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they're done. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty scary because she refused to just let abuse happen. Oh, she says, I must be pretty scary because I refuse to just let abuse happen. And you know what? I think you get to that point. So after before Roger and between my last experience and I had some experiences of not the greatest guys after Roger, you're going to need to shut the door. After that happened, I had to forgive myself. And but I went through some terrible relationships after that one, and I decided I better not date for a while. Okay, so here's Paul. Hi, honey. I'm carrying on with the move, but got the show on the background. Sometimes it's the man who is the one who's carrying the negative. And he adds, my last marriage was so toxic that my ex-wife literally trained my daughter to hate him from the age of 4 years old. Jeepers. I know. And there's that too. Mary says, we have survived and gotten our oars and paddling down the river. And Julia says, it's hard to get out of the cycle of abuse, but there are some lovely ones out there. Yes, there are. And I'm telling everyone here that we kind of spin in a cycle after we've had a bad one, and we keep on repeating the thing and repeating it. And I had a few dates with people that were still toxic, so I had to put it down. I had to say goodbye to everybody, and I just didn't date anymore. I realized that what I had to do is I had to find out who Faye is, and to be kind of scary like Dawn, I decided to, I just cannot take this BS from anybody anymore. I can kind of point them out in a nanosecond now. Yep. Okay, so okay, and there's Jojo. She said she left her ex after he beat me for 16 years. She said she lost 9 children because of his violence and abuse. Now I have a great marriage of 19 years, and she has not looked back. Wonderful. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Paul. He says, don't forget to like the show. Thank you. Yes, so Amanda must be a tough lady. She says she's comes from having 5 brothers and she knows how to stand up for herself. And yeah, women can be abusive to men as well. I can only talk from the perspective of being a woman, having been silly and not well. When I was younger, I mean, I'm 73 years old, so I was first married and married to someone who probably we were not the right match. Fell in love with him for all the wrong reasons, right? Didn't think he was a good dancer. He was a football player. He um, could sing, and he seemed to have a great personality. He had a great personality, but it ended up not being a great personality with me, unfortunately. And I don't hate him. I forgive him. We just were young. I married at age 22, and it was not the right thing. And fortunately for both of us, we have found better lives somewhere else. So, and I'm not gonna, I hate to, and there was a little bit of toxicness in that one too. But again, we were young, and and I just wasn't the girl he thought it was, apparently. Let me pause for a moment. Sue is mentioning that men can be abused by their wives or partners just as much as women can be. Sure. Um, I say let's remember that I want men and women to know that and to remind them, and I remind myself as well. When I'm talking to you, and if I say you, please forgive me, I meant we, because I am going through the process as well. We all need to know that we are worthy. We are worthy to have a happy life. We are worthy to have an abundant life. And the abundance comes in friends, not just money. It comes in friends, it comes in opportunities. It comes in children, grandchildren, those lovely things, experiences. When you have experience that's dropped on your life, an experience opportunity, maybe it's to travel. Maybe that's what we want to talk about. Maybe we want to talk about somebody's travel, or I don't know. But I want everyone to know that they are worthy to have the best lives. Um, I have Joe here saying that her new hubby had been a victim of domestic violence previously, and he is a gentle bear now. Oh, that's wonderful. Um, so Lynn says, I was going to say there are many men going through abuse, both physical and mental, from women, but people don't listen to them. And yes, that is true, Lynn. Good point. They are embarrassed to talk about the abuse. Absolutely, because they're supposed to be this guy that can take anything, right? How can they, and here they are with this woman who's abusing them. Really good point. Okay. Kelly says that her ex-husband was very controlling and always trying to change her, and I left with my boys. Good on you, Kelly, as Paul would put it. Good on you. Yeah, abuse comes in many forms. It comes in physical forms. It comes in controlling. There's that, and that I had that experience as well. And that when it's controlling, you start to think that you don't have a brain, and that was pointed out to me that I didn't know how to add two and two together. Hmm. Okay. I and I say to that, when people say that to you, you don't have a brain. Well, just watch me succeed. Okay, watch me succeed. Mary said she was freed from a mentally abusive marriage, which she felt was toxic. Yes, I agree. I mean, I don't know, but I can hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Julia. You, we might talk about that at a later. So Don says, me and Amanda are fierce. LOL. We don't take any, what from anybody. Respecting yourself is the most and above all others is key. Absolutely. The right one shows up when the right one shows up. Never ever when you experience having when you experience someone who's trying to control you, you start to think, well, what is there? Does nothing I say mean anything? And I think that that person that is trying to control you might be a little fearful that you might know what you're talking about, and yet the only way they can make you, you know, stay with them is to control your mind. I don't like I don't like anybody to try to do that. Roger has also been a, I don't mean to say victim of my wrath, but has been told quite quickly that I have something to say in private, when we have to say, and I'm going to say it. And, you know, that's an ongoing discussion. Anne Marie says sometimes it's from our relationships from our childhood. I have seen so much abuse growing up that I thought it was normal. It was not until I was older I realized the difference. And after my own abusive relationship, I realized what I tolerate in a relationship going further. Yes, and when I read what you said there, and what I have learned, what I didn't like to hear or learn was that you get what you choose. You get what you choose. If you think you're not worthy, then you're not worthy. So if you don't think you're worthy, folks, you're not worthy. But you are worthy. I'm telling you, you are worthy. Everyone's worthy. So and Amanda said that she met her first husband at 17. It was far too young. We couldn't stand each other when we got older, but without him, I wouldn't have my kids. And exactly how I feel as well. Um, controlling is coercive. Tanya, darling, this is hi, honey. My darling Tanya is here. Tanya says traveling overseas on my own was one of the best therapies I ever experienced. I learned very quickly to trust in myself and rely on myself. It was truly life changing. Yes, Tanya traveled abroad when she was 19, I think. She went to Ireland all by herself. And I know that she came back. She went as a kind of as a girl and came back as a young woman. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. She says, well done, Tanya. Absolutely, Faye. Julia says they do try to destroy your whole being because, you're a threat to them by being, you have a point and you have a point. So Jojo says, when we are in love with the violent and abusive partners, sometimes we don't see the woods from the trees, and we think they would change until you have awakened and got out of it and found out it's not always your fault. Well, yeah, you don't choose to be abused. Mm. Well, there's a thought that we choose our lives from the other side. So kind of we choose our lives. We choose our experiences. We do choose our experiences, Joe, I have to say. We choose what we are going through at the moment in time. I have to turn down my phone because I'm hearing myself again and again. I know it feels like you don't choose to be abused, but you know what? We chose to be married or to be in a relationship with that person. So, and kind of do choose to be abused. We have to stop it by making a different decision. So Tanya is saying she was 22. Okay. I remember that as a young girl, I was privileged to be born into a loving family. I was privileged to be raised by a wonderful couple, my mother and dad. And as a young person, I would go to my dad for just to hang out and to sit around the table and have coffee with him and mom, because he was selling real estate and mom was at home, and he could choose his hours more. And one of the things that I remember him saying to me as a young adult, I was married and I was at that time in a not a great relationship, and I had two little girls that I didn't know what to do. He says, "Faye, maybe you made a bad decision. Make another decision." And I was kind of like, "What?" That was my first lesson on how to create my world. Okay? You'd think would have learned you'd think I would have learned a little faster, but that was my first lesson in how I can co-create my life. I look back on that sometimes. He says, you can make up your mind again. You made one decision, now make another. If you don't like it, get out of it. It kind of pertains to relationships, your job, your situation. You know what? We we have been put on this earth, or we chose to be put on this earth to be happy, to be productive, to live our lives. Um, I might have to just take a break here, folks, with that, and I'll be back. Here's a commercial break. Stay tuned.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNTalkRadio.com.
Hi, folks. I'm back. So, yeah, I know. I hear you, Jojo. I was married at a young age too. Yep. We are learning. These are these are life's experiences. And it's kind of an experiment, actually, isn't it? Don says, abusers tend to slowly take you over. They aren't happy unless you're miserable. It's the power over their victim that they love, not the actual person. Absolutely. I get you. I kind of agree with you, Don. Um, Julie says, when you don't tolerate disrespect, it's amazing how many people you lose. Never look backwards, always move forward. Respect yourself always. Absolutely. And Dawn agrees with Julie. She says, you must love yourself before you can expect someone else to love you. Yes. Yes. Thank you, darling. And here's Doreen. Hi there, Doreen. Glad to have you join us today. Thank you. We're talking about anything that you want to talk about. Right. Currently, we're talking about maybe toxic relationships, talking about being worthy, talking about maybe getting out of abusive relationship. And thank you for joining us today as well, Shani. And welcome and she's coming in from South Africa. Awesome. Awesome. Tanya has some experience with this as well. Tanya says it's scary or toxic scenarios. Do not be afraid to make a change and say not only to yourself, but out loud, everything is going to be okay. Believe it and it will come true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shawnee says, I was married to a narcissist for 25 years. I know. I know. Why do we stay with it? I know. Mine was a long time too. And Anne Marie says, my current husband has taught me that if you truly love a person, you will treat them like a flower. They will, I think, mature, love, support, and help you flourish, not only to you, but themselves too. Absolutely. I think I will pull in Roger's name as someone who has always encouraged me. I mean, I feel like once I decided to accept Roger as my next person I loved, after I ran out of the place, back to my story meeting Roger, that I kind of I didn't really tell you in the best way tonight, folks, how that happened, but I did say that I ran away, and after I decided to take him back, well, I messengered him in Facebook Messenger, and he took his sweet time to respond to me, and we got together, and from that day on forward, he was the best. He kind of was. Sometimes my dad's voice came through him. I mean, it was crazy. Some of the sayings he would say, like, "What the hell you say?" That's not his. That's not his. That's not how Roger talks. That's how my dad talks. It was like an expression. Or he continued to encourage me to just be me. Roger never. I found my soulmate because he wanted me to grow. You know, when we started doing the shows, I didn't know if I could do it. I was in a corner holding the phone up on our face to make the Facebook go live. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, really, it was crazy. So, by saying no to a toxic relationship and shutting the door on that, and then slowly growing for, like, I think 10 or 12 years after that, and then just kind of becoming who I was, learning, you know. And then I met Roger at age 68 and feeling like I was 16. What? How is that possible? Um, I love that you said that, Anne Marie. Thank you for reminding me that you can grow in a beautiful relationship uh, when the other person is really thinking about you and really loving you. Let me see what other people are saying. That's really cool, Julia. She says that her first husband was not an abuser. He's the father of my three sons, and he's married again, but we are all friends. Makes life easy. That's beautiful. I really, my hat's off to you. That's wonderful. Uh, so Jojo is asking, where's Roger? Roger's listening. He's not on the show. I'm here tonight doing Paul's show because Paul is busy. Roger has to go off to be with the appointment. He's got a gig coming up on Wednesday night, and he's new and with a different band that is playing different music, and so he's not available. He wasn't available tonight, and Paul wanted to have a live show going on, and I'm trying out my concept of having my own show, which is, I'm not sure if it's going to be the Faye Ewing show or Faye's Angels, but what I want to do is ask you guys what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about, what you want. My purpose, my platform will be to have other people on the show, have guests on the show. If my show goes forward, I want to talk about things. I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk about I want to bring in things that I don't know anything about, and I want to learn as well. And tonight, and right now, we're talking about people coming out of abusive relationships, which are toxic relationships. An abusive relationship might be with your own family. It might not be just somebody you married or a boyfriend and girlfriend with. It might be your own family where you have to decide that I can't be with my family anymore because they're too crazy, and I have to find out myself what I am. Doreen says toxic relationships can be so bad in every way, mentally, physically, and emotionally, but it can affect a person for the rest of their lives. Absolutely. I love him too, Amanda. He is very genuine. Yep. And Anne says the wind will bring you gifts when you are ready to accept. It is up to you to receive it and to accept it. Exactly. Thank you, Anne Marie. Yep. So Dawn is asking me, do you know any of your past lives, Faye? Have you and Roger been together before in a previous life? I feel like that's very possible. I honestly have not been able. I don't have that. I don't have that experienced that. I know what my past lives were. I'm open to knowing that. But I do believe, because of what I have learned through this whole process, is that I do believe Roger and I were together in a previous life. Absolutely. I don't know if we were husband and wife, or if we were, maybe I was a man and he was a woman. I don't know. I do believe he was with me in another life, as do I believe the people who I married were in a, you know, we were in a, we knew each other previously as well. I believe we go in and out of our lives, um, and we meet the people again. That's that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so Jo is saying that her abusive ex was a very unhappy chap. He has since taken his own life. I learned a great deal from him. I don't hate him, as that takes my energy. Yeah. We do learn from our experiences. These are lessons we learn. These are lessons, if we can take them as lessons and forgive that person. I actually, this is what I did with my two husbands that I married before Roger. Roger encouraged me to call them both, each of them, up and tell them that I forgave them. I had already forgiven them in my own private place. I hadn't called them to forgive them. But I really hesitated to do that. I really had to work on that one. That was huge. I wasn't sure that I could talk to one of them especially. But on Roger's advice, because I love him and I know he wants the best for me to get on with my life, because he didn't want what was happening. I think he felt was that some of the experiences I had with my former loves in my life, or husbands in my life, I was bringing them forward into our life together. And I was reacting in a way that was not even appropriate. So I said, okay, to make this marriage that I have with you, honey, better, I will call them each up. So the first one I called up, he was totally surprised. He said, wow. I said, I'm calling you because I wanted to do this. I've already done this privately, but I want to tell you that I forgive you. He says, wow, thank you. And I think that really, it took a load off of him, because we had some crazy arguments and we had some big time fights in front of our children. And I really blamed him for this and that, and I may have mistakenly talked badly about him in front of my two girls. But what happened was, he said thank you, and what that did for him and me was really take a load off. It took a load off of me. I could just physically feel that I was blessed with a relief. We don't talk to each other anymore, but I can talk. I can easily call him up if I have to, when it's really important, and know that he doesn't. I don't have anything bad to say, or it's not a bad thing. It's an important thing. But the second one, I called him up to say that I forgave him, and he said, "Well, um, he didn't say thank you, but he said, I do forgive you." And I said, "No, this is not your turn. This is my turn. I put him in this place, as I knew I would have to. I said, I forgive you. This is me forgiving you." And he said, "Oh, okay." He didn't know what to do with that, which was funny. But again, by my doing that, I didn't have anything to do with him. I didn't have to do with anything with him. I put him in a good place with me and him, and that was all I needed to do. So that's where I stand. Yes, we can each be others' angels. Yes, I agree. Everybody's saying that they love Faye's angels. I'll take that into account. We're kind of, you know, kicking it around, and we are each other's angels, Dawn. Yes, we are. I believe that you guys, I learned so much from you folks. You know, the information that comes in every show that I have been on with Roger and Paul and watched, I have learned so much in these past 5 years. I am so grateful for you guys. And Doreen is saying that, well, I have to say, Faye, they're this life after a toxic relationship, and congrats to you for moving forward and upwards and having a good life moving forward. Thank you very much. I expect a great life. I am worthy. Mary says, finding someone you can actually have a conversation with is a great gift. I'm happy you were so fortunate to cross paths with Roger. Yeah, you know what? There's that too. We have to understand that our coincidences of meeting people that come into our lives are not happenstance. There is a, we have made that happen. We have, each of us have made that happen. Lupita suggests let's talk to Faye is a show. Love that. I love that too. Thank you. Um, thank you, Paul. There he is. He's an angel, isn't he? Um, I can't remember what Don says. Oh yeah, that I have past lives. So Don is saying it fascinates me. I know this is about if we knew each other in our previous lives or past lives. Don says it fascinates me. I know my husband and I have enjoyed each other and loved each other through many lives. We tolerate each other the best. Cool. Cool. Thank you, Julie. Getting lots of positive remarks about Faye's angels. So Anne Marie says to break a cycle, you have to learn and know what you want and be firm and not go back into that cycle. Sometimes that means leaving loved ones to move forward. Yes. Yep. So Joe is saying, I am who I am now because of my experiences. I had to forgive absolutely. I had to forgive myself for letting someone treat me so badly. Yep, there's that too. Yep, and there's a thing about, you know, feeling guilty about leaving a husband, even though you have children with him, and you're wondering about the poor kids, the poor kids. Well, the poor kids have been having bad experiences because you haven't been getting along with that husband of yours, Faye. You know, I stuck with one of them way too long, and my poor kids were, you know, living terrible lives along with me. I was thinking that I was keeping their lives better by just sticking with it. That's no way to be. Don't do that. Okay, so Doreen is saying we learn every day to forgive within ourselves. But the main thing is that as a person, we can be strong and walk away and be proud. Yep. And sometimes you have to teach your kids to not be in a fraudulent relationship. My kids were grown up by the time I decided to make that step, and I kept on saying I just want them to realize that they should not live a fraudulent life. That's where I was at that time. Do not live a fraudulent life, meaning don't. And I was sticking with that relationship, feeling sorry for the guy. Why was I feeling sorry for the guy? And feeling sorry for my kids if I took that step. Don't feel sorry for, you know, for the kids. You know, if you are in a bad spot, don't stay with it. You're not teaching the children anything except being, you know, putting up with abuse. Don't put up with abuse, whether it's mental or physical. Um, and Mary is talking about forgiving. When I was talking about forgiving my exes, it is freeing to forgive and move on. I have done that to my second husband and acknowledged the reason for his toxic behavior And it was not her fault. No, it's not your fault. No, it isn't your fault. The only fault is that we made the decision to go into that relationship. And there's not the fault. There's no blaming, no blaming. It was our decision. And the right decision came. And then however it happened, it happened. And we're just to not also feel guilty about what we did, because again, we are living, we are creating a story where each of us creating a story of our lives. And if you really think about it, it can be exciting, as it can be as exciting as you want it or as dull as you want it. Um, but really look at your life, look at yourself, and thank yourself for the lessons that you're learning and have learned, because you're still here. Look at you guys, you're still here. You're making comments, you're alive, and each of you are contributing to this life, the people who you know, whatever you're saying, I could go on and on, but you know what? These are the lessons we are learning. Um, oh, thank you, Dawn. She says, I'm grateful for you guys putting yourselves out in YouTube land. You're my sanity for a few hours a week. Okay. Uh, I'm going to try to pop up some folks' comments here. Lynn says that true soulmates are drawn to each other like magnets. Absolutely. I have to say, commenting on that, and I reflect at a safe place from now looking in my past. Um, really, my first husband and I were like magnets, and I truly loved him. I did. It broke my heart when he left. He decided to leave. But it took me a while after this, it took me a long time to figure out that he was put on earth to teach me a lesson. That we were young, and I really, really gangbusters loved him. And I don't, and I had two beautiful girls because of him, and have them to this day, and now have grandchildren because of one of them has married and had children. But I believe we were soulmates for a while. And that's why I say that, soulmates for a while. You are learning how to live your life. I was a young lady, 22, when I married him. And that's pretty young. And I was pretty naive. But we had good times together, and then at the end it was not so good. But thank you. And that way, you know, I can't say that I wish I never did any of the things that I did, because I believe that I have learned the lesson from each one of those things. Each one of those marriages. I'm going through what are being said. Mary says, I believe we were led to meet each other by our loved ones in spirit. I found Paul. He kept speaking of Roger, so I checked him out and found you, Faye, and your loving extended family. Yep. Thank you. And we're meeting you. And I feel like everybody has a backstory. Let me read what Lynn says here. We are all far different today because of what we have gone through in our lives. We have learned from it. We have to learn from it and move on with positivity to a life of happiness and contentment. Yes. Yep. We have to, and absolutely. And here we have Richard. Hi, Richard. Good to see you today. It's lovely to see you. Oh, Paul is reminding me not to forget our shows on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. We are here. we have a show on Wednesday. What's called Latino Psychic Visions, as you know. Please join us for that. Um, Also, don't forget Paul Francis's show on Thursday, absolutely, called Reach Across. Yes, Reach Across. Sorry, Paul. And also on Saturday morning at This Mug's for You with Roger and I. We have other shows on this network also come up. Please don't forget to check in with them. Also am learning from these shows that we have on this network of the United Public Radio Network and the Paranormal Radio Network. There are wonderful shows that are on this network that kind of open my mind to other information. As I always say, we're a work in progress, and it's our life experiences that make us who we are. And I and so Lynn is helping me out. Thursday night is Spirit Quest. The Journey of Life is on Thursday night. Thank you, dear. Um, Anyhow, I can't believe how time is flying. You guys have been so wonderful contributing to this possibility of a show. I want to thank Paul for letting me, give me a chance and figuring out you know, what we want to do. What is it that we want to do? What do we want to call it? What do we want to do? What do we want to talk about? And tonight you guys helped me out with, you know, the subjects we talked about today. And it's really crazy how their life experiences makes us talk about other things and to talk about how we can help improve it ourselves. I'm all about that. That's where I'm at. I'm all about improving ourselves. I've learned a lot. I take a lot from what I know from some of the discussions I had with my own father around the table at a very early age. I have to tell you that I've never had a spanking from my parents in my life. I mean, I never had that. What they were able to do was to sit me down and talk to me about the decisions I made. Isn't that a concept? And I wanted to do that with my own children, but of course, I did resort to a spank or two when they did get out of hand. But I also think that's a very important thing is that we want to teach our kids to to think to think about what they're doing, to think about the consequence of what their decisions are, because we are here on earth and we have lived our experiences. They probably won't listen to you a couple times, but they might have to, challenge that. But we have a lot to say as parents and as aunties and uncles and sisters and brothers or whatever. Um, I want to just kind of see what people are saying here right now. Um, Thank you, Jojo. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that for the compliments. Um, Whoops, I want to kind of put up what Anne Marie is asking. Do you think our relatives from beyond encourage our relationship or guide us to the people that we can help? I feel like that is very likely. I think we have guides that help us a lot every day. I'm anxious to meet my guides through Paul's help. He's having a seminar coming up, and I can't wait to be part of that. But I do believe that even our memories of what our parents have done or talked to us about, good or bad, we can learn from. Sorry, I'm multitasking here, reading what you're saying and talking at the same time. Excuse me. Mary is saying, thank you for giving us all a safe place to talk and vent. Love you and sending blessings to all. Let me take a sip of coffee. Hopefully I can speak better. That's what I want this place to be. I want you folks to feel safe that you can talk about. Paul is agreeing that um, that our relatives who have passed are part of are guiding us as well. Here we go. Tanya, Tanya is mentioning the flying shoes. She is confirming the fact that I have given her a swat or two in her life. And there's an episode of a flying shoe. Uh-huh. I'm not going into that one right now. If people are wanting me to talk about that, I can do that on another show. Faye's life support show. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can handle that one. And Julia says, yes, we are all helping each other. Yes, exactly. Exactly the concept. So, folks, I want to thank you for letting me come into your lives as well tonight and sharing yourselves and letting me talk on and on. It is a little it was a little daunting to think about that I could even do it, but um because of your help, I am able to do it. And this is what I love, this conversation we're having. Dawn is saying, I have done a few guided regression meditations. They have been really helpful to opening my mind to so much more than we know. That is cool. Yep. And okay, Sue's saying, thank you, Faye. It's been a lovely evening. Thank you. It has. There's a lot to talk about. Paul says, I can relate to that. My mom was an old time gunslinger with her shoes. Yes. Yep. Well, if you want to hear about the shoe incident, I will tell you about the shoe incident. Okay, folks? I will. So, I have, as you know, I do have two daughters. I also have a son. But while I was raising the kids, I was a lot on my own raising the kids. There was that too. So they can either thank me or fault me for how they turned out. But this time, one of them was she had a we had a two well, she was coming upstairs. She was traveling upstairs, walking upstairs from her bedroom in the downstairs, and she was mouthing off to me. This is Erin, my second girl, and she was mouthing off to me, and I was not having it. And at that time, it was the 90s, and I famously wore clogs. Clogs were shoes that were like mules. They had, and these happened to have a wood sole. So she was walking up the stairs, and she was mouthing off to me, and she was beyond my reach. I couldn't, shake her because she was mouthing off to me. So I took my shoe and I gave it a slow pitch. And I didn't aim for her. I really did not aim for her. I aimed away from her, but I wanted to get her attention, that I still had the power. And the shoe hit the wall like I aimed at, because I did play softball as a child, and I shocked her. And she said, "You threw a shoe at me." I said, "No, I didn't. If I would have thrown it at you, I would have hit you, but I hit the wall behind you. And now you know the power that I have and that I am willing to throw a shoe to get your attention. So snap out of it. Now let's talk." It was they talk about it to this day. There are other little episodes that I did to get them, because I was, what can you do? I'm not going to let them talk to me that way. So my grandson often says to me, "Grandma, I love you, but sometimes you scare me." I said, "Good, good. I think we should scare our children a little bit, so we can talk about that at another time." So Paul says she could get me even when I was running. There you go. So I don't know what you guys want to think about that one about me, but there it is. So maybe you want to talk about that. I don't know. I don't believe in being abusive. No, I just wanted to shock them. This is what I had to do. I had to shock them. Um, and we also talked a lot, but she had her mouth running off. Here we go. Dawn is contributing. She says she put her daughter in a cold shower. I said, you speak to me like an 18-year-old. I'll treat you like a 1-year-old. Thank you. That's cool. Yep. I love it. So, anyway, anybody else want to contribute what they might have done to shock their children? Another tactic I did was my son was being a an insistent 12-year-old boy who would not stop thinking that he was going to be able to go around Halloweening, meaning trick or treating, by himself. And because I was going to have to, he was 12 years old. I still had to be nearby. And so it was Halloween. So he was upstairs. We were just standing there and he was insistent. And then I turned to him and I said, and I kind of said it at the top of my lungs. Sometimes I can be real. And I got really close to his face and it was scary face, scary. As I said, so sometimes I can be real scary. I did scare him. I scared him so well that he sat down, he fell down on his hind end. And he listened to me and he waited for me to be able to take him out trick or treating. So, anyway, that was it. That's all I have to say about that. You do what you do. And it's hard to be a single mom. I know what that's like too, because I was alone. And but they all grew up to be fantastic people. I have to say that myself. They all have their uh, jobs and they have families of their own. So I am happy to say that they did not have any damage. There was no damage. Not real damage anyway. Thank you. Oh, I'm being very transparent tonight. So anyway, Dawn is saying, I'm not looking forward to my youngest facing up to me. She's way taller than me. I'm going to have to pull it out the bag with her, just like me. So I'm in trouble. So she's just like her. So she's in trouble. Yeah, I know there's that. And yeah, Mary says, oh my gosh, I have 3 sons and 12 was the worst year. Yep. And Anne Marie is saying it's harder being a single mom in a relationship where the father is physically present but not emotionally present. Yes, exactly. I hear you. Yep, exactly. Honest to goodness. I remember doing a lot of things by myself, like getting them to the, band rehearsal, birthday parties, everything, you know. And it's not like poor me, because I didn't even think of that. I wasn't even thinking poor me, poor me. I was just doing it because they needed to. They needed it. They needed a parent. They needed a parent. They needed to have one physically, mentally there. So really all my energy went to raising the kids and then getting them and doing the best I could with what I had, right? That's all we do. So sometimes we, thank you. The forum here we're being a chatting, we're talking about being open in our forum. This is this is a safe place to be. I have no magic. I just have experience. So we're getting close to the end of the show. I can hardly believe it. Dawn says, Paul, I hope you've had a successful move and are enjoying some heating and hot water. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to have to probably sign off pretty soon. And I want to thank you for all joining me and contributing to what we're talking about. I would don't mind having any suggestions as to what the topics are, or who are the people you want to be on the show. Um, and I will always give you what I know. I cannot talk about things I don't know. I don't know very much about crystals, Dawn. I know you do that. And I would love to hear more about it because I know there are some energies that we could, benefit from. And if you want to be on my show, I would love to have it. And if there's anybody else who's doing the same kind of business, maybe we could have 2 people on the show. I know that my daughter is dealing with multiple sclerosis, And I would like to have her on the show as well. It's a real person dealing with multiple sclerosis. I know that there's another person I met at one of our events who has multiple sclerosis, and she's dealing with that as well. If there are other topics that you are dealing with, I would love to have you on the show as to how you are in a positive way working it, going through it, and making it work. And maybe talk about something that you can tap into to help you. I'm all about that. So, and Dawn says, I do love pulling crystal cards too. That would be fun too. Thank you. I have to say goodbye, and I'm getting a cue from my husband. So I would love to say, come join us. Don't forget to see us on Wednesday night, Paul's show on Thursday night, and Saturday night, and all the shows that are on this show. So thank you, loves. See you soon. I got to say goodbye as soon as I can find the jingle. Love you all. Bye-bye.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public